Yes, welcome everybody to the inaugural episode of Got Your Back, the Alumni Series. So excited that we're going to be able to bring this your way for this upcoming season. Some in-depth conversations with some familiar names, some familiar faces, a deep dive from a guy that has so much experience in this industry and knows how to get the best out of people. Mark Connolly coming up of CBC fame. As always, our content here on Got Your Back presented by our fabulous title sponsor, Timberhouse Developments, the leader in custom and infill development with the knowledge and experience to bring your dream to life. If you're tired of cookie cutter, copy and paste designs with no soul, you got to go see the team at Timberhouse. Discover how naturally inspired living can make your life better. Take all the guesswork out of your infill project and work with experienced leaders at timberhouse.ca. As we welcome to Got Your Back, the one, the only Mark Connolly, 36 and a half years at CBC. You're going to blush here, Mark. Just let me do this. 36 and a half years at CBC, 12 Olympic Games. You've heard him in your household during Olympic time calling bobsled, cycling, skeleton luge. Familiar face, a familiar voice. And an absolute pleasure for me, Mark, to be able to do some work with you, because for all these years we have been diabolical enemies, right? The good and the bad, the axis of evil, you and I. But now we get to share the airwaves. Recently retired, but part of the Got Your Back team for some bonus episodes this year. Buddy, glad to have you.
Well, thanks for including me because, I mean, you got a great thing going on here at the podcast. I'm not going to get the chance to insult Brownie and Struddy probably, but I'll look forward to maybe that opportunity at some point.
Yeah, no, we'll get you on the show at some point for sure. Would you say you find yourself agreeing more with me or those guys, Mark? That's going to be the barometer because I can't handle a 3-on-1 situation on that show.
I will have your back, Ryan. Let's put it that way. I mean, you and I obviously have the same sort of background. I mean, I'm maybe a few years ahead of you, obviously, but, you know, as reporters and guys on the ground, those guys are ex-NHLers. They have a certain perspective. So I think you and I have probably a common perspective on a lot of things.
Yeah, for sure. Got to give a little bit of love here to Zuby. Zuby, as always, along for the ride, you know, sitting quietly in the background. But Zuby, I said, come up with a bit of a different look and feel for the Alumni Series. Something a little more classy. Take the logo, classy it up a little bit. Let's try something maybe in a pewter or a brushed gunmetal or something like that. And you knocked it out of the park with the look. And how about that theme music, Zuby? Well done, sir.
That's great.
Oh, that
sounds great.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Ryan. Yeah, that's taking it back, right? That's a remix of the original episode 1 Got Your Back theme that was this like compelling mix of acoustic guitar and just like crazy upbeat synth. And so we modernized it a little bit. I think it really works.
Yeah, you did a great job, buddy. Love the look and the feel here. So let's get to the point of this whole thing. Mark, you've covered a pile of different players as they've come and gone from this market over the last 36 years. You've dealt with all kinds of different guys through multiple generations of hockey players. Not to make you feel too old here, bud, but it is what it is. And so what a great idea to have you sit down and go long form conversation with these guys. And our first opportunity was with a familiar face. And a guy that I think in a lot of ways is a cautionary tale for a lot of Oiler fans right now. What can happen if you trade a goalie because you're frustrated with him and what he might one day become? But Devon Dubnyk, our first conversation, Mark, and I really did think it was great.
Yeah, I thought he was too. And he's done a lot of media lately. And so we had the advantage of having a guy who is used to doing this kind of chat. But I thought he really brought it. And it was really interesting, some of the points he talked about and about his experience. And, we can reflect on what's going on with the Oilers goalies right now when you look at what he did. Because, he had some really good stats with the Oilers, even though he's on a terrible team. And then, of course, knocked it out of the park in Minnesota. But he's a really personable guy. And I was glad I got a chance to chat with him. So it's a good way to launch it, I think.
Yeah, 100%. And he had some interesting things to say. Dallas Aikens, that era in particular was interesting with Devon Dubnyk. So pay attention to that one, and maybe a bit of an omission as he was going through some of the coaches that had an influence on him. So it was a fantastic conversation. We're happy it's the first one here on Got Your Back Alumni Series. Let's get to our featured interview, and that is brought to you by our great friends over at The Running Room. And Mark, you're very familiar with this outfit, being a runner yourself. Canadian family-owned and proudly serving runners since 1984. The Running Room is built on innovation, quality, and a deep knowledge of the sport. They offer the best selection of top brand name running shoes and apparel. Join their free run club every Wednesday evening, where runners of all levels connect, train, and share the joy of running together. Visit runningroom.com to learn more. Here's Mark's conversation with Devon Dubnyk.
Devon, welcome to the Got Your Back Alumni podcast. Thanks for doing this.
Hey, happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
So you've been retired 3 years. Does it feel like you're retired? You're done? You're an ex-hockey player?
It feels like I've been retired for longer than that. Well, I'm doing the media commentary stuff, coaching the kids, and certainly feels like the routine now. But man, watching these guys move the puck around at the NHL level, it's hard to remember that I used to be able to do that.
I hear you're a golfer as well. Have you hung up the clubs for the season?
I'm hoping to get maybe 1 or 2 more rounds in. When I do NHL Network, and when I go out to New Jersey, New York area, the season lasts a little longer there. It stays a little more mild. So I work in the evening, so some days I'm able to get out and I'll make a few phone calls and maybe get one in November, maybe one in December, but it gets a little dicey.
I had my last round November 1st in Edmonton, if you can believe it. It's +2.
Okay, that's good golf. Everyone asks me here, they're like, are you, it's a little chilly today. We played last week too, and I was like, I grew up in Western Canada. If we're above 0, which means nothing to them, then we're playing.
Hey, you're from Saskatchewan. You can play golf anywhere at any time. That's the way it goes. Well, let's talk about your post-hockey, I guess not really post-hockey, post-playing career, because you are involved in hockey so much. What was that adjustment like for you? Were you ready to retire when you hung them up?
I think so. I kind of expected to keep playing. I don't know if I really wanted to. I mean, I did, but looking back on it now, the last couple of years were difficult. They were difficult for everybody, but just with the COVID, no fans, going to San Jose. My family didn't end up coming with me to San Jose because we weren't allowed in Santa Clara County. So we started our training camp and season in Arizona. We didn't know when we were going to be there. We had a house rented. By the time we got there, it was too late to take the kids out of school, all this stuff. So I spent that entire season by myself pretty much, with a couple of visits. It was nice to finish in Colorado. Great group there, really good team. But it just kind of, I don't know, all the things that you love about the game at the end, the games, the fans, all of that just kind of got sucked out of it a little bit for me. And I know it came back, but the excitement level wasn't quite the same as it had been. And I still love the game and everything, but that drive wasn't at the same level that it was. So I think I was ready, looking back. Maybe I would have liked to push for another year, but at the same time, I'm happy with the way things turned out. So it's definitely a transition, though. You don't really know. You don't think too much about what it's going to be like, and you think, oh, it's great. I mean, it's September. I'm golfing every day. This is great. And then all of a sudden it snows, and okay, now what do I do? And so you kind of figure it out as you go, and it takes a few years. It took a few years for me. I'm in a great spot now, trying some media stuff, and and now just really getting involved in the coaching side. I started my own business now, Dubnyk Development, along with, I got 3 boys who are all playing full time. 2 of them are goalies, and then combined with the media side, kind of just get into a routine and a flow of what's highlighted in life, and what you kind of are living for. Now you're so used to spending your entire life living day to day, having everything scheduled for you, when to show up, how to take care of yourself, all of these things that you've just been doing one way your whole life, and it changes in an instant. And so there is an adjustment period, and I'm just really happy where I am now. I really enjoy the coaching. I enjoy the media, and just that's my life day to day, and that's my focus is my family and my kids, and I've really been able to appreciate that, and really just live for that, and enjoy every second of it. And it takes a little bit to just kind of shift that, not priorities, because they're always a priority, but really learning to live for that, and enjoy every minute of it. And I'm just very happy right now.
Well, you touched on a lot of things there. First of all, how do you let 2 of your boys become goaltenders? That's egregious. How can that happen?
I did my best. I pushed back. My oldest, and they're new still. So my oldest is 12. He's going into his second year goalie. So he played his first year last year. I pushed back on him pretty hard, with him wanting to be a goalie, and I kind of let him play a little bit, and he was pretty good, and he moved around, and he enjoyed it, and was interested in it, and he liked going to the rink, and he liked practicing. So I said, okay, we'll do it. And he's been great, and he's been good. He's very technical. He's very focused on the technical side. And then same kind of process with my 9-year-old now, and he's a year earlier starting. But I pushed back on him pretty hard too. I said, we'll play 1 year of squirt, which is Atom level in Canada, or 10U, I guess it would be now. And same thing, kind of let him play a little bit this summer, continue to ask him, are you sure you want to do this? Is this what you want to do? Got him in some practices to make sure he knew what it looked like. And he's same thing. He's a pretty good little goalie. So he seemed to enjoy it and be excited to go to the rink that way. So just shaving years off my life, one goalie at a time here.
Well, it's interesting because, we're seeing a lot of second generation NHLers, like the kids of NHL players, make it into the league. And I know that, your kids are quite young, so I'm not sure you're not looking at that right now, but how do you approach, dealing with your kids in hockey? And maybe this is some advice for parents as a former NHLer. What are some of the things you think about, not putting too much pressure on them, or just even how they enjoy the game?
Well, that's the biggest thing, and it's reminding yourself a couple things constantly. Is the whole point is you want them to enjoy it. These are the best years of hockey of their life, regardless of what happens. Youth hockey, pee-wee, squirt, these are memories, and you want them to enjoy going to the rink every day. And I'm in Minnesota, and it is like there's a lot of hockey, and so it's important to make sure that they're having fun and that it's not too serious. But also, getting them to take it seriously and want to improve. I don't care where they end up. I want them to enjoy the journey. And it's been interesting with they're two completely different kids. It's helped my coaching ability with other kids as well. You have to learn to adapt and teach them in different ways, and also understand with my kids, there's a learning process as well. Both going on the ice and understanding the difference between dad and son, and coach and son, and being able to separate that when you get on the ice, both for me and him. He had to understand that he couldn't come ask me if we could go to Starbucks after in the middle of practice. And then I had to understand that, things I say to him are going to hit a little bit differently because I'm his dad than saying them to someone else if I'm harder on him. And just kind of learning that whole process. And then also understanding that they might not be wired the same way as me. And that's been one thing with my oldest going through it is I have to understand that he's not wired the same way as me. And I got to where I was. I always think back, and you never had to make me do anything. You never had to make me go outside and play hockey or go downstairs and practice. It was just what I did. And it's what I wanted to do. And that doesn't mean that that's going to be the case for every kid. And so you have to accept that and not make them, you have to push them to do stuff, but you can't make them think and feel the same way that you did. And so trying to get the most out of them while also understanding that and not everybody's the same way. Not everybody goes to play in the NHL. Not everybody wants to. And so just finding that way to get them to enjoy that journey is best you can.
Well, this opens up an opportunity to talk about the coaches that you've had through your career. And I don't even know how many goaltender coaches you would have had. Was there one at the beginning? And how is that different from dealing with head coaches?
Oh, it's a great question. I've had lots of goalie coaches, and they've all influenced me in different ways. Starting from my dad when I was a kid, he played junior as a goalie, and so when I first started, he taught me all the basics of angles and playing at the top of your crease and all this stuff, and he was trying to learn because the game was changing even back then. From obviously the way he played, we weren't as technical when I was 10, 11 years old as they are now. But he taught me kind of all those basics of angles and skating and all that stuff. And then moving on to my first goalie coach in Edmonton was Pete Peters. And Pete obviously played in the 80s and played a different style. But Pete, for me, being a young kid, he was like another dad to me. I think he kind of cared about me like I was his kid, and it wasn't just it wasn't just a business relationship. And it was special for me because I needed that as a kid coming up, 20 years old, starting to play professional hockey. But technical wise, I mean, he gave me a foundation on how to play angles at a high pace and how to be patient in angles. And that might not make sense to everybody on here, but it was honestly the foundation of my game for the rest of my career, on how to let things happen in front of you and not get happy feet, and be able to really slow the game down by realizing how far everybody has to move in front of you and how little you have to move in your crease, and being patient in those spots. And that was all we did. It was just hammered into me. And that was the foundation of my game for my whole career. Next goalie coach was Freddie Shabbat, who's actually the goalie coach in Minnesota now. And then it was kind of a good transition of, he was very technical. So we started to really develop the way parts of my game that I was going to use, whether it was RVH, playing different situations, how I was going to play these, and kind of
RVH. Maybe explain that. What's that?
The reverse VH, what all the goalies do on their posts, where they sit, it's overplayed now, but how they put their one knee down on the post and they slide back and forth on their knees, and they need to get up off their knees, but that's a whole other story that we don't need to talk about right now. But that was just coming in, like that was just a new thing, my early 20s. And so learning how, it was a new move to get comfortable with, but just getting different technical sides of my game and kind of building a toolbox of what I was going to use going forward. So that was important. And then going to Arizona, I had Sean Burke, who then gave me another huge foundation of my game for the rest of my career, which was how to move on my feet and being set for shots, and not having all this flow and moving on shots, and being a big guy that I am. We just worked on where I was going to be, depth in my crease, pushing, stopping, set feet, push, stop, set feet. That's all we did. And that's what I used for the rest of my career. And then coming to Minnesota with Bob Mason, it was kind of a perfect spot. I was in a great spot. I was a self-teacher, very aware in practice of what I was doing and trying different things, and aware of my body. But Bobby got to know my game really well and worked with me in more of I was older and mature, but having a sounding board to talk about game situations, talk about the game's feelings, all these things, trying different things. It was kind of a perfect transition into that portion of my career.
Let's talk about the mental aspect of the game. I mean, obviously the goaltender is such a focal point for fans and for, players, a team. As one coach famously said, goaltending, if you have goaltending, it's a big part of your team. If you don't have it, it's everything. So there's a lot of pressure being a goalie. How did you deal with it? How did you first feel it? Was there a time when it really weighed heavily on you?
Yeah, there were different times, learning to deal with the nerves and different situations and big situations, and everybody's different too. And that's the thing. Some guys like to get really riled up and get their adrenaline going, and that allows them to play well. That doesn't work for everybody. Not everybody. Some guys like to just calm down and really be zen out there. And so you got to find kind of what works for each individual. And for me, What I found as my career went on was to deal with bigger moments was just to keep it as simple as possible, and realize the game's played the same way, whether it's the first game of preseason or the last game of playoffs for the Stanley Cup. Your game's played the same way, and so you think about, for me, it was thinking about three things that I do that make me play well, and it was, having set feet, finding the puck through screens, and then the head tracking thing that I learned later in my career, but the skating and the intensity, finding pucks. Like, I just think, and the three things change sometimes, but I would always just think of three things before the game that I needed to do no matter what. And so it didn't matter how big the game was or what was being talked about outside of the game or how many people were watching the game. The game was still played the same way, and I had to go out and do the exact same things. And obviously it becomes more of a challenge the bigger the stage and the bigger the game. But if I could just narrow down and just make it as simple as possible, just concentrating on a couple things as the game went on that I knew I had to be on top of and be sharp, then you start to kind of drown out everything that's going on around you that's not going to help you play. And thinking about the fact that there's 1 million people watching and 20,000 people in the building isn't going to help me perform on the ice, or that this is an elimination game in playoffs, doesn't matter. I have to go out, push, stop, and see the puck, and that's all I have to do. So again, more of a challenge than the bigger the stage got, but that was kind of what I focused on to kind of keep things level. And then I like to joke around too, and try to keep things light, especially in TV timeouts. And I talked a lot and wanted to just stay. I wasn't one that wanted to go sit in the corner by myself. I wanted to keep it light, talk to the referees, talk to the guys at the bench in between, and just kind of keep it relaxed, and always just a reality check. Like, hey, we're just playing a hockey game.
So you weren't a weirdo goalie.
I was not a weird goalie. No, I tried to be as normal as possible. And I think guys that have played with me can vet on that.
Now, I mentioned coaches. What about relationships with head coaches? When you were with the Oilers, you had a different coach almost every year, I think, when you played there, right? That was a strange situation. So what were those relationships like? Did you have a favorite, or some guys you didn't get along as well with?
I mean, honestly, it's like different. Every coach is different. And so, I had Pat Quinn was my first coach, and I was first year in the league. It was, I would have steered clear to Pat all day. And it wasn't that Pat wasn't a nice guy. I was a 23-year-old kid, and that's Pat Quinn, by the way. I know he's a legend. And so I was fine with steering clear and just trying to do my job. And then you get more comfortable. Tom Rennie was very approachable to talk to. And then Ralph Kruger as well. I really enjoyed my time with Ralph. Tom as well, but really enjoyed my time with Ralph Kruger. He's a really good communicator. So that was a different thing where you felt a lot more comfortable with conversations and communications with the coach. I spoke on Dallas Eakins a little bit. I don't, he was hard for me when he was there. He was hard to approach, hard to talk to, which I don't think is how he is normally. I've kind of talked about it, and I think that he maybe tried to change his approach in Edmonton, because everybody that I've talked to, other than the guys that had him in Edmonton, they talk about him as a player's coach and a very personable guy and an approachable guy. So I think he's a great coach and a good person. And I think there was just a short period of time where maybe he got away from that a little bit. I had a conversation with him the day I got traded in a hotel room, and it was the best conversation I had with him the entire time I was there. And I just kind of thought in the back of my head, like, why couldn't we do this the whole time? We can do this. I'm not on your team anymore, and now we have this great heart to heart. And and then as I got older, I was fine either way. If you want to come talk to me every day and talk over coffee, great. If I was fine too, with Bruce Boudreau here, Bruce is a great guy too. He's a little tough on goalies sometimes. And for him, I kind of just said, listen, you don't have to say a word to me. If you don't talk to me, I'll assume I'm doing my job. If you got a problem, don't talk to the media, come talk to me, and we'll figure out. I'm a big boy, but if I don't hear anything from you, I assume I'm doing my job, and I better not hear something from the media waves before you come talk to me. So again, I was a kind of a big boy at that time as you start to get older and later on in your career.
From a fan's perspective, what do you think fans don't understand about being a goaltender in the NHL, or maybe don't appreciate?
Well, I think right now, seeing how well these guys shoot the puck, one thing that drives me nuts a little bit is watching, breakdowns of stuff, and a guy gets beat on a clean shot, and wow, he should have had that one. There's no screen or whatever. Well, guess what? Sometimes these guys can shoot it past you incredibly enough, and the thing is, the goalies have gotten so good that it's not normal to see a guy get beat on a straight shot. And so the expectations are obviously through the roof, but understanding, I mean, how good these guys are. And I think it's not that people don't appreciate that, but really, and that's when I'm coaching kids as well as they're getting older and navigating all of these things. Nobody knows what it's like to be a goalie unless you've been a goalie at a high level, unless you've truly been out there in a high stakes scenario and seen the game play out in front of you. It's a different world back there, standing with all of these bodies moving in front of you and pucks moving 100 miles an hour and guys, pucks zipping by your face and like all these things. It's really impossible to truly understand what that is like unless you've been in there. And so I don't love when ex-players start to break down what a goalie should or shouldn't have done or should have stopped this one, unless it's glaringly obvious, because you just don't know what it's like unless you stood back there.
Social media really was only, I guess, beginning or coming to the fore when you were playing early in your career, and I'm sure at the end it was a lot more. How did that change, I guess, being an NHL player, having to deal with that sort of thing, or did you really lean into it? I know you're on Instagram a lot right now, talking with various folks. You got to be part of it if you're doing what you do in this area, in this era of the media being so social. How did things change, if at all, for you?
I would say, I guess, for lack of a better term, I was fortunate enough to not get the brunt of the social media. I mean, gosh, I want to say I didn't discover what Instagram was until I was like 29 years old, maybe 28. And it was never something that I really got into. I mean, there's a little, even still, I mean, I just follow at an arm's length and stuff goes on there that needs to go on there for the media side of it, but it's never really been a part of my life. But even for most of my career, even towards the end, it wasn't as intense as it is now. Definitely still, I'd say the last 4 or 5 years of my career, something that I always just stayed away from. I wasn't super involved in it. There were guys that really liked it and were involved in it and could deal with the dark side of it a little bit easier. And for me, it was just like the positives didn't even come close to outweighing the negatives. So I just stayed well clear of it. And it was a lot easier to do then as it is now, because it just has become such a prominent thing in sports and life in general. And, it's one of those challenges. And I prefer to kind of just steer clear, to be honest.
Now, you mentioned the day you got traded from Edmonton to Nashville and the experience you had with your coach. And then, of course, you go to play for Barry Trotz. Now, he had a famous quote about you. I don't know if you remember it or if you want me to repeat it.
Feel free. I remember it.
He says, "We got Devon from Edmonton, and what we realized very quickly was that Devon has a lot of, I'll say, bad habits he's picked up this year. His first start wasn't great. I don't want to throw him under the bus. He's got to be a lot better. He's a veteran hockey player in the NHL. I felt that 3 of the 5 goals were very stoppable in this league. It wasn't a great game for him, but this is his first game, his first trade, new city. So we're getting used to him. He's getting used to us." What's it like to hear that from the coach publicly?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it was a fair statement. I don't know. I would eliminate we've noticed very quickly that he's picked up bad habits. I don't think that that's necessarily a fair statement. When I'd been there for approximately 2 days, I played, I was on the bench. I got traded, flew to Philadelphia, was on the bench, and then played at home right away. I know where those comments come from. Looking back on it, I just am confused as to like, why did they even trade for me? with the way things went down after I was there. It was like, I mean, they'd written me off within a week of getting there. And obviously I wasn't in a great spot. It was a difficult year. So are you going to work to get me back to a good spot, or are you just going to throw the keys away and say I was broken, which is what I felt happened. And, I'm fine with Mitch Korn. I know he's done a lot of great things. I wasn't happy with him and how it went down there.
Remind people who Mitch Korn is.
Mitch Korn's the goalie coach there. So he's done a lot of great things with a lot of goalies, and certainly not taking anything away from anything he's done. For me there, it felt a little bit like he wanted to fix me and then felt like he couldn't, and just right away was done with me. Personally, obviously he has a job to make the Nashville Predators the best they can. And I wasn't that solution at the time. But personally, for me to try to get stuff back on track, it was a little bit frustrating to feel like it was kind of I was considered a broken project there. So, as far as Trott's comments, when it comes to the game, I think those are fair comments, and I can handle that. Yes, I was nervous. I did not play well. I didn't play well. The pucks I stopped, I didn't stop well. The goals I let in weren't good. I can handle that all day. And that's a fair assessment. It's one of those funny things that I don't want to throw them under the bus, but hey, I will anyway. Situation. So I think they probably could have kept it a little more narrow scoped on that specific game and saying that wasn't good enough. And we'd like to see some saves, because I can handle that all day. But to say that, to make it sound like I'm this broken project that showed up in they got a package without all the pieces, is kind of what he made it sound like.
Yeah. So you're sent to the minors after that, and you spent that season pretty much in the minors, right? At that point, because you'd already been a starting NHL goaltender, did you have a feeling maybe this is it for me, or how did you deal with it?
The time there, it was just miserable. You kind of know where you are. You're stuck at the bottom. There's no real road, no light to making it back up at that time. Your contract's expiring. You're just kind of trying to get to the end of the year and play it out and do the best you can down there. And same thing. I was off by myself without my family, and we had our oldest was a baby at the time, and so that was a difficult part of it. But you just want the days to go by at that point. And really after that season, it was a funny end to it too. I end up as a black ace for the Canadians, who had a nice little playoff run. And after the first round, I'm skating with 4 or 5 20-year-old kids every day. And that's it. Not at home. And after they won the first round, I just had kind of had enough. I was 4th on the depth chart at best. I knew there wasn't a real chance to get in the net, nor was I in any situation to go in an NHL playoff game and help anybody. So I told them that I was going to go home, and I just kind of, I know you're not going to re-sign me. Thank you for everything, but I need to go home, and that's priority right now. That's what's important to me right now. So I fly home. They were great about it. No problem. Went home. Carey Price gets hurt the next day. I'm back in Edmonton watching the TV. He gets hurt. And it was like, they went out, the media took their depth chart and were like, oh, look at that. We didn't know he was here. Boom. Phone starts blowing up. Phone calls. Where'd you go? Why'd you leave? And then all of a sudden I thought it was over. And then I'm doing an interview with Hockey Night in Canada explaining why I left. And so that was a short little thing. But for me, it was, I thought about it for a bit after the season, and I decided to just full reset, just forget about it and not try to go back and dive into what happened and piece by piece and Nashville and Hamilton and try to decipher everything that went on. I just said, let's hit delete and get back on the track that we were, because everything was tracking the way it should have up until that point. And so get back to training, trust yourself as a goalie, believe in yourself, know that you can play. And the only thing going into that season was I just was kind of came to peace with possibly not being a starting goalie in the NHL. more just that, hey, I'm 28 years old. My window may have passed right now for somebody to be looking at me as their starting goalie. And so I'm going to work and get to the NHL and stay in the NHL in whatever capacity it needs to be. If that needs to be a backup goalie for the next 5, 6, 7 years, whatever that is, I'm going to enjoy my time there. I'm going to enjoy the chances I get to play, and I'm not going to overthink being a starting goalie. And that just kind of like took some pressure off for me in going to Arizona and just enjoying my time there, and not getting on the ice every day in practice thinking about trying to fix myself and get back to this starting goalie level, just enjoying it and believing in myself. And the Coyotes certainly believed in me. Tippett and Burke and that whole group there really instilled confidence in me without really saying anything. They didn't treat me like a broken project. And then, it was really enjoyable to do that, to just be grateful for every 60 minutes I got. I was playing behind Mike Smith. I didn't know how many games I was going to play. It might be 15 for the entire year for how many games
you like to play a lot.
And then he fortunately for me, you don't want to ever say someone's misfortunes but he wasn't playing well, and he really wasn't playing well at the time. And so I was getting an opportunity to start 2 games in a row, and then I get an opportunity to start 3, and then by Christmas time I was playing 4 in a row. And then all of a sudden the itch came back, and I wanted to kind of keep that pressure off of like, hey, I know you like it, but your window still might have passed. Like, take it easy and just keep doing what you're doing, keep enjoying your time here. But certainly the itch came back of like, I want to play. I don't want to just be here. I want to play. And so the opportunity came when I got traded to Minnesota. And I just made sure that I didn't go in there and think anything other than just keeping that mentality of just being grateful for every 60 minutes that I got to play, and really trying to go enjoy every start that I got, and not going there and thinking about, I need to go play into a contract and get back to a team signing me as a starter. I just tried to keep that same 60 minutes at a time, enjoying every start and not thinking about how far out of playoffs we were and all this stuff. And that was kind of the perfect storm to allow me to just go in there and play, and just every night, it was
the miracle in Minnesota for Devon Dubnyk.
Yeah. And it was just, but it was like the next game was just, that was all that mattered. It was just like, I'm going to go play this game and try to win and enjoy it. And then that passed, and I didn't think about that. And just the next game, and I never allowed myself to get ahead and start thinking about the next year or contract or anything like that. And I just kind of got that ability from the approach I had going into Arizona, and it allowed me to do that when I got to Minnesota.
Well, I mean, it was an incredible run there. I mean, all-star player 3 out of 4 times with Minnesota. You signed, 3 first team, 1 second team.
Also. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
There you go. And you then you signed a huge deal. 6 years, I think 24 million. It's that kind of thing is what players play for in the business part of it. But it had to be incredible going from where you were in Nashville and then Montreal, and not Montreal really, to getting there. That complete turnaround must have been head spinning in some ways.
It was. That's one of the things you kind of allow yourself to look back and enjoy on, and just say like, that doesn't really happen. In a 365 day span, I went from having one one-way contract offer in the NHL, 1 year, 800,000 in Arizona, which we kind of had to scratch and claw to get from 600 to 800 for that one. So one year deal, and going in as backup and all this stuff coming off of the year before, to 365 days later, I'm at the NHL Awards receiving an award, Vezina finalist,
Bill Masterson. Yeah.
And signing a 6-year deal, all within a 1 year calendar window. Again, you live day to day and game to game and all this stuff, but it's important sometimes to just kind of reflect on the whole journey that got there, and appreciate the people around you and the perseverance that it took, and kind of sometimes it's okay to give yourself a little pat on the back and say, you believed in yourself and proved it.
How do you keep humble when you're an NHL player, making the kind of money you made, getting the adulation you get. How do you keep humility? Is that an issue? Did you think about that at any time, or did you ever get too big for your britches, as they say?
Well, no, it didn't. It didn't take. I didn't have to look back far. I started the season as a starting goalie in the NHL and finished in a 3 goalie rotation in the minors. So um, it can happen fast. And so for me, that was definitely not an issue of if you ever felt pretty good about yourself, just remember how quickly it can be taken away and how quickly people will give up on you. Unfortunately, in the business, it is a business, and so that was I just kind of always kept that in the back of my head and just continue to have that. I wanted to make sure that I had a drive to continue to get better, and not just look at that contract as oh, okay, I got the big deal. I'm here. I'm good. I wanted to not just have that one season. I wanted to continue to get better and continue to be year after year, not just a starting goalie in the NHL, but one of the better starting goalies in the NHL. And just have that drive to not just be okay with where I was and get better. And as far as the humble part of it, I mean, that's just who you surround yourself with. That was never really an issue for me. Just the way I was raised and the people that you're around, my family, my friends, all that stuff. I've got a great group of friends still from when I was 10 years old, and they're not letting my head explode anytime soon. Even when at the very, very peak, it was easy to just open up a group text and get chopped down pretty quick.
Now, your wife Jen and you have been together since you were 19 years old. I'm sure she's a big part of that support. Have there been times over the years where she has said to you, maybe now's the time, maybe we get out of this game, or she always been supportive? What is that? How has your relationship changed over the years going through all of this together?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. She'll remind you that I was 20 and she was 19 when we met, but she was 20 shortly after. But no, it's cool because she's kind of been with me through the whole run. I mean, we were married. We got married in 2012. But she was there. She would come visit me in Stockton. She would come visit me in Springfield. And so she's seen the ECHL. She's seen the American League. She's been there for everything. She's seen the lows and the highs, and the great thing with her is she was always there for the right reasons, for me, and she was always there to support me through whatever it was I wanted to do and play. And she knew that that's what I wanted to do. And so, there was never a conversation. It was never her call. She knew she was there to support me and be there for me. And she always has been. And it was just without saying, she's going to do whatever it is to support me, if I want to play, and if I'm ready to be done. Nothing changes between us. And that's kind of, the way it's always been. And again, being there through every single up and down that I've had in my career. And we kind of joke now we're 39 and that we're 1 year away from knowing each other for actually half our lives. So it's been pretty cool to share and experience this entire experience with one person.
Now, in 2019, I think it was, when you were really in the midst of a great career in Minnesota, the highlight really, or maybe the high of your career, Jen experienced some serious medical issues. How difficult was that to handle and try to play hockey at the same time? And maybe if you can tell us a little bit of insight into what happened with Jen.
Yeah, it was scary. It really happened out of nowhere. There was no underlying things. There was nothing expected. I came home one night from a game on the road, and she was having a medical emergency at home, and things kind of changed quickly from there. And you obviously, hockey goes out the door, and you focus on what's going on. And it was scary at the start because nobody really knew what it was or why things were happening. She was having seizures, and we didn't know why. And So we fortunately, Craig Leopold was a great help. We have the Mayo Clinic here in Minnesota, so we were able to get her in and get her checked out and figure out what the solution was and how to get it fixed. And she ended up, again, timing wise, I mean, she ended up having brain surgery at the beginning of January of 2020. And fortunately, it was as safe of a brain surgery, excuse me, as you can have. Nothing is ever 100% safe when you're going in there, but we had the best people on the planet doing it. And so they were able to do that. When you're going through it at the time, like I said, hockey just gets pushed away, and you realize pretty quick where priorities are and what's important in life. And that's health and family. And so I just didn't even think about hockey for a while. Obviously it's also a big part of your life, and they're your other family too. So having the support of the team and the guys and everything, and going to the rink, on off days and being there was important as well. But the Wild did a really good job of giving me the time that I needed to be at home and not traveling until I was comfortable with it, with being away. And, Al Stalock did a great job of stopping the puck while I was gone too. So he actually, relieved some pressure that way, of this feeling that I didn't feel like, the team was crumbling without me, and I needed to rush back and be the savior. Al came in and did an incredible job, and the guys were winning. So I didn't feel any sort of pressure to come back before I was ready.
And how's Jen doing now?
She's great. Yes, everything was taken care of with that, and all the checkups have been good, and we shouldn't have anything to worry about going forward here.
So, what was it like for your family to adjust to you deciding to retire?
It was interesting because, again, I didn't really plan on that being the year. I was still training in the summer and skating and stuff, and again, I don't know deep down how hard I was training to really expect. I don't know if I truly expected to get a contract or what. I couldn't tell you the honest answer to that question, but it was different. I mean, the kids enjoyed it, and they got a lot more time for me. But it's a transition period of figuring out what do you do every day. And I'd be lying if I told you that everything was all great and it was awesome sitting at home doing nothing. And you have to find, there's times where it's kind of like, what are you doing? What are you going to do today? What are you going to do to be productive in some sort of way? Because that wasn't part of life before. You were productive by training, by sleeping, by eating, by going to the rink. This was your job. This is what you did. This is how you were productive. And then obviously being a dad and all of that stuff came with it. But now all of a sudden it's like, how are you going to contribute to society and the family without that? And it takes a while to figure out, what it is. It's like, you got to do more than open mail and walk around the house, and you just have to figure out, you have to find a new passion and what to live for. And I touched on that a little bit at the start, is just finding another passion and something that you get up for every day. And for me, that's this family and the kids. And I'm on the ice with them at least twice a day between the three of them. Today's only once, which is rare. But just not looking at that as I got to go on the ice again. But this is what I'm living for, and getting the time with them and taking them fishing and all this stuff, and not feeling like it's something that I have to do, but this is life, and this is what life's about. And then the coaching and the media stuff, and just really enjoying all of it, and realizing like that's my day to day now, and that's the priorities, and this is how we go about a day to day.
That's great. Great answer. We do have our rapid fire segment. I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions really quick. You only have 5 seconds to answer. You good at this?
I'm good. I'm not good at it, so I don't know how good the answers will be. But
all right, rapid fire is brought to you by Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Their Edmonton location stands apart. serving only Canada Prime Canadian beef, proudly sourced right here in Alberta. On Oilers home game nights, they open early at 4 p.m. You can enjoy a world-class steakhouse experience before the puck drops. And beginning November 3rd, they'll be open Mondays. Reserve at roostchrissteakhouse.ca or on Open Table. All right, here are the rapid-fire questions, Devon. Going back to being 14 years old, you're already almost a scratch golfer. You can start again with everything you know now. So what do you choose, hockey or golf?
Hockey all day. Golf's too much of a grind. It sounds cool, get to golf every day, but I mean, first of all, I can't make a putt in front of 5 people, never mind 5 million or whatever. But I just think golf, the hockey side of it with the team and the team atmosphere and that whole team sports side of it and everything you learn about life and all this thing is such a huge part of my life. As much as I'd love to golf every day, it's that I don't think is for me.
Great answer, but too long. That's not rapid fire. All right,
okay.
Turning to the media now. When you were a player, annoyed or angry or a non-issue after the game?
Non-issue. I didn't mind speaking to the media at all.
Messy or organized? What does your closet look like right now?
Messy.
What show are you watching right now? Are you a TV guy?
I am a TV guy. I don't dive into anything. I'm watching like short documentaries, like true crime documentaries that take me 10 days to watch because I fall asleep.
Favorite TV series of all time?
Oh man. Stranger Things. Sorry, that's a nerdy answer, but God, it's awesome.
No, that's a good one. I like it. Now, leaning your seat back on the plane, under no circumstances, we cannot do that to one another, or you're fine with it. You're a big guy. You need to lean back.
I'm fine with it all day unless I physically can't have them lean it back. Then I'll just say, hey, my knees are in the way. Could you please stop? But other than that, I'm fine with it.
What would you prefer, a slap shot to the head or a slap shot to the pills?
A head for sure. Yeah. Although I wore double can, which helped. But
really,
player can on underneath, goalie can on top. Yeah.
Oh wow! I'll have to tell Zuby that exists. I don't know if he knows that.
Yeah, it's a lifesaver. Player
who most annoyed you in practice and why?
Oh gosh. I'm not. I already sewered Yakupov at one time. I'll leave him out of this.
All right.
Gosh.
All right, ready to move on.
Sorry, it's Yak. It's Yak. Sorry, Yak.
Had to be. Who's the most underrated player you ever played with?
Oh man, these are tough questions.
They are.
Underrated shot accuracy. I'm going to go with Jason Pominville. His shot was so crazy in practice. He could get it off anywhere and it had the same release. I actually said to him one day, please don't think I'm bad at hockey. I'm trying to stop your shot.
Teacher's pet, or were you a shit disturber?
I was more on the teacher's pet side. I knew how to create a good relationship with the teacher that got me off of homework once in a while.
Have you ever had a hole-in-one? I know you're a big golfer.
I had one my first year of golf when I was 13. I wish I could transfer it to now when I'd appreciate it a whole lot more.
Wow. And back to the media. How annoying was Rashog as a reporter when he was covering you?
Oh, me and him got into it a couple times, but no, he was great. It's always, I tried to have good relationships with not just on camera, but talking after, and he was always one that we always had good conversations with, which is probably why we got into it, because that kind of trust thing was there and conversation was there.
And finally, if I could start all over, I would blank more, do this more. What would it be?
Oh man. I got no answer for that. I don't know. I always like to think that I wouldn't change anything.
Nice. Well, that's a good answer. And if you can feel that way about it, that's a great way to be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure I could come up with an answer, just not in rapid fire. It's,
All right, we're here to your got your back question. Now, this is brought to you by Leading Edge Physiotherapy. From weekend warriors to professional athletes, kids playing soccer, to our grandparents in their garden, rotator cuff tears, tendonitis, to post-surgical knees and hips. It sounds like they can fix a lot of people and problems because they have the technology and techniques to do it. And most importantly, they've handpicked the people. And I know from personal experience, life shouldn't hurt, so don't wait another minute. Leading Edge Physiotherapy. So Devon, tell us, who had your back at some point? Tell us that story.
well, I'm going to go back to that year, and it's going to be a lot of people, but just that that year that I finished in the minors, and that especially that summer, to take the pressure off, is if you can step back and you realize, if I'm not able to do this anymore, if I don't get a contract, if I'm not playing in the NHL anymore, having that support from my parents, from my family, brother, sister, from my wife, from my friends. And you go through that and you realize that everybody's there the same way, regardless if I'm a starting goalie in the NHL or I'm not playing hockey anymore. That kind of just takes the pressure off, and they were all really there for me at that time. And it allowed me, it took that pressure off completely, and it allowed me to just go play hockey, and rolling into that as well. The Arizona franchise with Sean Burke and with Dave Tippett and staff, bringing me in there, not as a project, but again, instilling that confidence in me right from the get-go, really without saying anything. Was, they had my back at a time that again, one-way contract offer, out of everyone else in the league, and they didn't just take it. I mean, they signed me, and I was their goalie number 2. That was it. There was no questions. They were happy. They were excited about it. The guys on the team were excited about it. Shane Doan was awesome. He was the captain there. They had my back, and it allowed me to go play.
Well, we appreciate you coming on, Devon, to tell us these stories. You're the inaugural guest on the Got Your Back Alumni podcast. So thanks very much for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, so there it is. Devon Dubnyk firmly transitioned to life after hockey, Mark. He's got lots going on. He's a busy guy. He's a family man. Yeah. I remember the year Devon Dubnyk was drafted. I remember his first training camps. It's crazy. We see these guys come in and grow up, navigate their hockey careers, and move on to new things. But he seems like a guy that's adjusting pretty well to life after hockey.
Well, you'll remember, Ryan, he was one of the go-to guys in the dressing room to talk to because he was so even keel, especially for a goalie, which reminds me a little bit of Stu Skinner, because Skinner's quite good too. But Dubnyk, I mean, he was a 14th overall draft pick. So there's high expectations there. Another common thing with Skinner, he started in the ECHL, like right at the bottom of the minors, and made his way up. So, and he had pretty good stats with the Oilers, but that thing he said about Dallas Eakins meeting with him after he got traded, I almost feel like, wow, we should talk to Dallas Eakins and get his,
I know.
His take on
like,
that.
Why couldn't we just talk like that? Why couldn't we just talk like that when I was playing for you? The coach-player relationship, I guess, for some just kind of changes things, and sort of a what-if thing. What if they'd had a better relationship? But the one thing I'll say, and Zuby, you'll be offended by this, and the other goaltenders out there might be offended by this as well. So I would say I don't mean any offense, but I'm going to say it anyway. He's so normal, sure. Zuby. He's such a normal dude for a tendy. You know what I mean? Like, and I love my tenders over all the years. He is just as normal as it gets in net.
What's funny?
Well, this is the other thing, Zuby. We didn't get a chance to propose to him the Doobie and Zuby show. I mean, we chatted about it before the interview, but I didn't get a chance to say that to him.
I feel like that's a natural. I feel like that show would just market itself. But yeah, on the normal goalies things too, it's like a funny thing too, because I think I've had many of the guys I've played with comment that I'm surprisingly normal. And but then I get to hear this. So I don't see the other guys, because if another guy's playing, I'm not there. It's not like a beer league. You don't have a tandem or anything like that. But I get to hear the stories about the goalie who went nuts and called out the team and left and took his bag with him, or skated off the ice in the middle of the game, or did all this kind of crazy stuff. So I think in another way, it's a brotherhood between Devon Dubnyk and myself. So.
Yeah, for sure. The goaltenders union is always firm, whether you were a Div 12 house leaguer or a 12th overall draft pick. It's basically the same thing. Mark, great job, buddy. It was a great great first episode, great launch point. I thought your interview skills were pretty good. And, buddy, a couple more of these, you'll be right up to TSN standards, Canada's sports leader, buddy.
Well, I hope so. I hope so. I want to hear from folks, though. I want to hear what people think, like who they want to hear from, because there's so many. We've had so many people go through the Oilers over the years, right? And some guys have gone on to have great careers after, and others, maybe this was their highlight. But I'd love to hear, who people think we should talk to, because I'm looking forward to chatting with a lot of these guys. Some of them I might have covered when I was covering the Oilers, but, I basically stopped being a full-time sportscaster around 2010. And then, so I wouldn't have been in the locker room for those last 15 years. But before that, I was there all the time. So a lot of the guys I would have had, contact with.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's going to be fun. And just so everybody knows, we're going to look to drop maybe one of these a month or so. It'll be a bonus episode on all our main feeds. Definitely send us some feedback. You can DM me on our Got Your Back Twitter feed. Mark, you might as well open up the DMs at this point and let people come directly at you with their thoughts and feelings and totally rational criticisms. That happens a lot. But definitely want people's feedback on people they'd like to hear from, what they thought of the interview and such. Great job, Mark. This was fun, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. Really glad to be part of Got Your Back.
Yeah, glad to have you, man. And a quick shout out, too. We need to thank you. Some support from a company called Bar N Investments, industrial real estate and consulting. Proud supporters of the Cure Cancer Foundation, Glenn Anderson Day of Golf, which is an amazing day in support of the Cross Cancer Institute. For more information and to donate, go to www.ccfgolf.ca. That's www.ccfgolf.ca. That's a good buddy of yours, Mark. You want to shout out?
Yeah. Dennis Nolan. I mean, he's such a great supporter of all the different charities in Edmonton, and I ran into him at that day of golf, told him about the podcast, and he said, yeah, I'll support you. So he was basically the guy who got this launched for me to be part of what you're doing. So yeah, thanks to Dennis. He's been great.
Yeah, thank you kindly, Dennis. Look forward to more, Mark. Thanks, buddy.
You bet, Ryan. Thanks.
And thanks to all of you for checking out our bonus episode, Got Your Back Alumni Series. Keep an eye on all our social channels. And again, send us some feedback. Leave us a review. Let us know how you feel about the stuff that we're pushing out, and we'll keep pushing out more. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you on a main episode soon. See you, everybody. Zuby, this looks so good.
Isn't it slick, that depth?
Yeah, 3D graphics. Like a tuba?
Just the deep horns.